All right, good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another edition of Colored Conversations, a safe place to talk about race, religion, and just about everything else. I am your co-host, Keenan Tyler. I pastor the great Coastal Shores and Cedars of Lebanon churches in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, Virginia. And then I'm going to turn it over to the co-host.
Hey, everybody. This is Trevor Kinlock, pastor of the great Metropolitan SBA
Doctor!
Hyattsville, Maryland. Bless you, preacher. How's it going, black man?
It's going good. How about yourself, man?
Been good. Been a little while, man.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, sure have. Have.
You did a little traveling?
Yeah, a little traveling for school, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we back.
All right, it's good. Good to have you back, man. Good for us to come back, man. But a whole lot has happened since you've been away.
Oh yeah, sure has.
So talk to me, man. What do you think? Academy Awards, Will Smith, Chris Rock.
I mean, well, first and foremost, when I got the news, I was at my brother's house and we were talking, having dinner at my brother's house down in Florida, and we were talking. His wife said, "Hey, Will Smith just smacked Chris Rock," and we like, "Yeah, right, whatever." Like, thought it was a joke, and she said, "No, I'm serious. It just happened. Will Smith just smacked Chris Rock." So she streamed it to the TV or cast it to the TV, and I saw it and I thought it was staged. I was like, "No way, no way in the world. Come on, who's gonna do it?" Right? So I didn't really think nothing of it until the next day when my phone was blowing up, social media and text messages about it, and I was like, "Oh, this is real."
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was just so shocking,
right?
And it leads into what we're going to discuss later on in this episode.
For sure, but you thought it was just like a part of the show what they did.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
I did.
Yeah. One of my boys had made a joke about it when it happened. Of course, I didn't see it. And so I was thinking kind of the same thing, that it was staged. I didn't know what he was talking about until I saw it. And I was like, yo, this is real. This was looking at Chris Rock's reactions. I was like, this is real. So, of course, that was a month ago and everybody's kind of had their time to weigh in. But, just hearing the different perspectives, I think for me was something that was interesting. Particularly, we had a conversation on it in my class there at Howard with my students. And in my class, about 90% of my students are Black females, African-American females. And I was interested in their perspective because where you heard kind of everybody else kind of condemning it, saying, yo, this was terrible, it was awful, he shouldn't have did this, it was on national TV, blah, blah, blah. Like most of the sisters in my class were like, yo, he did the right thing.
Really?
Yeah. I thought, same here. I thought it was interesting. So I was like, hey, what happened to the whole, toxic masculinity and, these conservative views that a man has to protect and defend his women. Women don't need to be defended. We can defend ourselves. But what the ladies informed me of, they were like, listen, there are so few times that Black women are defended in this world and in this society. And it feels like this was one of the first times there was something visual, where a Black man actually defended a Black woman. And so many of them were just like, they enjoyed that. They were glad to see a Black man standing up for a Black woman. So I said, okay, I took that in. That opened up my thinking just a bit.
That's very interesting. Now, I know you come from an inner city in LA. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And I know growing up, I have seen many times, I know many fights that have happened over somebody disrespecting someone's sister, disrespecting someone's cousin.
Oh, yeah.
So that's interesting. I guess, in the spaces that I'm used to seeing, the Black women are defended. Especially you say something about my mama ready to go off.
Yeah. Mama's always defended. We always going to defend mama. But I think, that's one thing, preacher, that's our perspective. And why I had to step back was listening to, if you talk to Black women and hear what they have to say. And that's what I took the time to do. And it opened up my eyes like, oh, wait a second. I thought we were good. And they were like, no, we're not feeling defended. And I think that's the reality. If you take the time to ask some more of the sisters around you, I think you may hear that. But that was one thing. Of course, another thing we've seen, preacher, globally that is taking place, of course, is Ukraine and this conflict in Ukraine. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, well, imperialism, NATO, all these different things. Obviously, Russia has a problem with Ukraine. Trying to get in bed with NATO.
Hmm.
They're right up on their border.
Yeah.
They like, hey, we're gonna show you all, this is not cool.
Right.
So they're trying to expand their quote unquote, I want to say kingdom for lack of words.
Hmm.
And NATO too is trying to expand, and Ukraine wants to be a part of that.
Certainly.
And so that's the rift right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's sad to see that, of course, lives are being lost, but this is what happens around the whole entire world.
Yeah.
These type of things.
Right.
Who wants power? It's a grasp for power. This is a worldwide thing, but it just so happened we're seeing it played out because of media and all that stuff. We're seeing it played out right before our eyes.
No doubt. No doubt.
It's sad. Of course, you see the African refugees. They were trying to leave, trying to get out, and I think go to Poland.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens when they're like getting back,
pushed in the back of the line, right?
Yeah, back
right,
in the line. Again, it's nothing new, but it's sad to see all across. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested in seeing how history is going to portray the president of Ukraine.
Okay.
What is going to be? Is he going to come out looking like this this hero who didn't bow down? So I'm interested to see that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think certainly humanitarian crisis, devastating to see women, children, men, civilians being pillaged, raped, bombed, killed, all of those things that we're seeing on our TV. I think it's horrible. I think it is the latest outbreak of white on white violence, white on white crime that has been happening for hundreds of years, for centuries, and has pulled the world down into global conflict. We've just seen this forever, over and over again. I think it's horrific. All people of conscience and faith ought to condemn the violence and look for peace, pray for peace. But I do guess for me, and for many people of color, it always does hit us just the juxtaposition of how much attention is being placed on this conflict. Like it's on the front page of every news site. It's always leading news in the TV media news. But when you compare that to things like the crisis in Haiti, what they were experiencing and still experiencing just a couple months ago, between the earthquake, the assassination of their president, and just the refugees that were fleeing that crisis looking for help. The West, particularly America, certainly treated those refugees differently. When we look at those, at the southern border, they're fleeing, gangs and crime and poverty and all of that. They're certainly treated differently. There's been a civil war in Syria that's been taking place for the last 10 years. We're not seeing this blasted and played on our screens, nonstop. There's civil war in Tigray in Ethiopia. That's been going on for a couple of years now as well. And these are things that are not garnering the same level of compassion and empathy. And I think that if we are believers, people of God, that we ought to care for suffering people everywhere, and not just because this is happening in Europe. It is now worthy of 24-hour attention, as opposed to those who are suffering everywhere else.
Right. And along with that, I mean, yeah, that's great everything you said, absolutely. But my thing is I'm always follow the money, right? Follow the money. And so what I mean by that is if Ukraine becomes a part of NATO, come on, let's be for real. Who that's in America's best interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So you put this on TV and you flood the news with this,
right?
Because so when America does what it does, say, hey, we're looking like we're coming to save the day, but really it's finances.
Oh, absolutely. It's always there, preacher. Geopolitics is always at the forefront. This is clearly a proxy war between the West and the East, between the United States and between Russia. This is kind of a reigniting of a Cold War and older battles for hegemony and control of the world. So, I mean, this is global white supremacy, that what we've seen for the last 500 years of these European and Western powers and Asian powers and Russia fighting for supremacy over the world. It is what led the world into World War I. It's what led the world into World War II. And God forbid, where this conflict may lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, preacher. One last thing. You watching? This is April, so it's NBA playoffs, man. You watching the playoffs?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been trying to stay away, but it keeps pulling me back in, man. Of course, my Knicks didn't stand a chance, but it was interesting. The Nets got swept, so that was good to see the emergence of Jason Tatum, but he has now ran into a brick wall.
Right.
So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out, man. What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah. I'm surprised that you said yes. You're watching, man. I thought you'd say no.
I'm
Actually,
trying not to.
No.
I'm trying
both,
not
to. Yeah, I feel you. We both have like no reason to watch the playoffs this year, man. No Knicks, no Lakers, man. I'm sure ratings got to be down because whenever the Lakers,
it's got to be terrible, right?
Yeah, nobody wants to watch when New York and LA are not in it. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see the rise of Tatum. I am not a Boston fan. I will never root for Boston, but I'm rooting for Jason Tatum. Solid dude. There's nothing that you can hate about his game.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah. Sorry about Kyrie and KD and all of that. That was destined to blow up. That was doomed to fail.
Right. Yeah. I mean, somebody just told me, I have a family member. I'm gonna call him out. My cousin Brian. I think he's a little delusional. He told me he thinks the Nets are going to win the championship next year.
Next year.
That's what he said. He said if you come back with Kyrie, Harris, KD, Drummond, and I forgot what he said. He said that's a championship team. They should at least get 2 rings. And I said I got to get off the phone with you, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Listen, if I was tempted to believe that last year because the roster was stacked and they looked good last summer,
right.
So we're like, everybody was crowning them the favorites. But and you remember this because I said this, I was like, they are not going to be able to get those 3 to work together. Katie is a diva. Kyrie is in a headspace. And James Harden, is playing at the club and doing his stuff. So I was just like, you're not going to be able to get the 3 of those guys to gel together. And even though they were making it work on the court in the times that they actually did play, it was the off the court stuff that ultimately derailed the team. And there's going to be more of that next year. Kyrie is Kyrie. He's not going to change. This is his MO throughout his career. And it's the reason why he'll always be a number 2, not an alpha, not a lead of a team.
Right. Well, we'll see. Because my cousin said with Ben Simmons, they should be good next year. I'm like,
wow. We just threw like another inmate into the asylum, man.
Right. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But man, let's jump into the show today. We have a special guest with us, Lemuel Williams. He is a licensed professional counselor, been counseling for a number of years. And our topic, everyone, today is men's mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we brought on an expert, to talk about that. Black men's health, with so much stigma tied to that. So we're gonna just bring them into the show right now. Lemuel Williams. Come on, Lem. Let's get him in here. Lem, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing
good.
Hey,
Brother Lem.
Hi. Morning. First time doing a podcast. Special, I feel. Like a celebrity.
You are. Pastor Tyler tells me much about you, Lem. So it's good to have you on our podcast today.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And I've been telling him for a while he needs to write a book. Gotta write a book, man. This man has a wealth of knowledge. I do supervision, or he does supervision with me. Rather, is that the right way? So everything I do for counseling is under his licensure. So if I do something crazy, blame him.
That's good. That's good. We got 3 black men on here, so this is good. Let's deal with black men and mental health. I'm ready for the discussion.
Right. So let's jump right into it. So Lem, as you know, with this whole thing, with a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month or so, and at the Oscars, Will Smith, or should I say Chris Rock, was making a joke about Jada Pinkett, Will's wife. And so Will, he gets up there in the middle of the Oscars, or the beginning of the Oscars, and smacks Chris Rock on live TV, right? And so everybody like, wow, what happened? What's this about? What was interesting to me is the backstory one of the backstories rather is that if you read Will Smith's book, which I did not read it, but my wife, she read the book and she gave me the highlights. If you read his book, some things jump out. One, he's always in need of a female, to be in the presence of a female, to have someone by his side. He had a childhood he didn't kind of really fit in. He did some, he's just a art kid. And clearly there's some, to me, we all got mental health issues one way or another, you ask me. But there's some mental health, there's something going on there, right? And then you look at Chris Rock with his backstory, where just recently he came out, I think it was a year ago, that he was in therapy for 7 to 8 hours a day, from being bullied. That was one of the things. There was some other stuff as well. Who knows what that, him getting smacked on national TV, what that sent him back to. So with that being said, looking at that incident, what do you think of the mental health thing, mental health issues? Just what does that bring to mind to you? With the kind of mental health with Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Well, I think, I don't know, it's more than just mental health, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's like it's some of these social mores that we have. I don't know if you think about yourself growing up. I know for me growing up, one of the ways that your friends show that they love you the most was by talking bad about you. And who could talk bad about the person the most? Mm-hmm. In the Caribbean, we call it pecan. We have a word for it, right? Mm-hmm. And so you diss the friends that you love, and that's why you send love, right? And that's just from small. You learn that, right? And then if you can't take it, or someone get in the fields and they feel some type of way, they're doing too much. Oh, they have a problem. You can't take a joke, Mm-hmm. And so I think even from young, you have to look at the whole system that we are in, that we develop for ourselves. It's almost very double standard. Now, you train children young to, I guess, show love by berating or teasing or railing on someone, and then they're older, and now that's not okay. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, when you have feelings about it, we train them not to pay attention to those feelings, right? And to just do it anyway. And something's wrong with them. And now when they're older, it's almost like a bigger risk, right? Because now you can't have a reaction. You can't have a feeling because you should know better, So it's like a catch-22. Like, no matter what side you're on, it's wrong. But we don't really confront that. We just say, I guess, who's more wrong? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's difficult in situations like these to figure out, it's not black and white. It's so gray because honestly, take away all the fame, take away all the money, take away all the status and stuff. They're just two boys on the playground. Somebody make a joke, they didn't like it, so they trip off. They react, right? But now, of course, there's so much other things involved and stuff, right? So now, going to the mental aspect, if it is...
Let me just jump in too. Yeah, so, and talking to my wife about the book, it seemed like with Will Smith, it was so much he had in him. It was just like about to boil you over, and just about to explode. And that was just the thing that set him off. And I think so many, especially in the Black community, so many brothers, we're like 1 degree away from pulling the Will Smith. It's like one thing, because we holding so much in that we're just about to explode. So at least that's what I'm seeing with the mental health portion. What do you think?
So there's a model of stress for humans, right? How we deal with things. So let's pretend that we have a cup, right? And the cup is already halfway full, okay? That's everything in life, responsibilities, job, family, bills, whatever, right? But we are a whole cup. We are able to deal with everything. So it's not a problem, right? But life happens, and life is that water that just gets poured into that cup bit by bit, So maybe for a teenager, they fail a test, so they pour some water in. For a young adult, they have a bad breakup, they pour that in. For an older adult, they lost a job, they pour that in, right? So throughout life, water is going to be pouring into our cups. What's eventually going to happen with our cups? It's going to spill over, right? Because we only have so much that we're actually able to handle, right? So what does that spillover look like in real life? Oh, they're tripping off. They lose their temper. Oh, they can't handle this, they can't handle that, right? But just like you mentioned, it's been building, right? It's been pouring in. And I think a lot of times we pride ourselves on being able to just stay calm in the midst of everything, but we're not on the other side taking care of our cup, right? And so that when it spills over, we're like, oh, where did that come off from? I didn't expect that. How, But you only have so much water that you can handle in your cup. Right? And the interesting thing is when it spills over. So right now, so it spilled over, this and that. Where's that person's water now? Still at the top. Just because it overflows doesn't mean it's empty. It's right at the brim. So then it just takes one more thing to pour in, and it's going to spill over again. And that's how we as individuals get stuck in these cycles of calm, then explode, calm, explode, And so that's very true, people have limits. People have limits.
Yeah. So the cup is overflowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in a simple way, yes.
Yeah. So Lem, talk to us about what are some common misconceptions about Black men and mental health?
That's a big loaded question, right? Common misconceptions. I don't know. I feel like it depends on the culture, the subculture that you're in, right? So, let's say I talk about the Caribbean, for example, and even within that, different Caribbean places. There are some countries that are more matriarchal than patriarchal. So, let's say in a country that tends to be more matriarchal, the misconception about Black men and the mental health is that they could just take whatever it is you give them and they have to just suck it up, right? Because they have to deal with it and they need to be the one to be strong. In patriarchal societies, it's more like, well, we don't really we take care of our mental health or we take care of ourselves in any which way that we want. It doesn't matter how it bleeds off on anybody else, right? So in matriarchal, you have to take it, but not have it bleed off. In the patriarchal, we can deal with it however we feel like it because we're men still. Now, that's in Caribbean context. In a Western context where there's the whole history of racism and slavery and all those type of things where Black men are still a minority, right? It's like both. So we want to be able to deal with things however we want. And usually it's going to be in probably some of the unhealthy ways, right? But then we still can't have it impact the society in a whole. It has to be stuck within like a microcosm of itself. So keep that in there, in that group. And as long as we don't see it, we're fine. If it starts to spill out, now it's a problem, right? And so it adds this extra pressure, I believe, on individuals, but you can't really see my way to get out, I think that's why you see a lot of times, a lot of Black men tend to make some very risky choices when it comes to taking care of themselves. And it seems like a bit extreme because they're fighting against all those different sides. I have to be a provider, I have to care for, I have to be present, but then I have to be stoic. I have to be non-intimidating, right? I have to be articulate, else what I say doesn't have value, or what I'm expressing doesn't matter. If it's not being expressed a certain way, then it's a problem, right? So I'm being told how I have to. Yeah, I don't know. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Did you have follow up, Doc?
Yeah, I was really going to ask, because I think it all ties together when we talk about this cup that's overflown, and we're talking about Black men and just the limitations that they have to have healthy expression of the stress and the pressures and the traumas that they're feeling or going through. What is a Black man to do? What's a man to do that is under those type of constraints, Lem?
Which constraints of the society?
Society, family, all the different pressures, like you said, of just things continue to be poured onto them, into them, and then feeling like if you express it this way in this small group, that's fine. But if we see it, and if it gets too major, too violent, to whatever, we're going to deal with you in an uneven-handed way. So, what are brothers to do? That find themselves under that kind of weight.
Rely on each other. I think there's a big stigma about leaning. Like, I mean, we all have our bros and we have our partners and stuff, but
right.
It's almost like activity partners, not
That's good right there. Yeah.
Like living life, and so
what I heard you say, and I want to give you time to talk more on it, is that brothers need each other. Brothers need to rely on each other as a means of kind of managing the strains and the pressures that they experience in life.
Correct. Yeah. And at the same time, we are empowering one another, but not enabling each other, right? Because there's a difference, So that's even going back to the whole Will Smith thing, right? So we saw the first person that really popped in was Denzel, right? Going and talking to him and stuff, right?
Right.
And of course, there's like the thing of what did he say or whatnot. But then it came out afterwards that what he was saying was, hey, like, I understand that you're upset. And so he's validating his feelings. I know you're upset. And I know that you must be hurting. And I understand that. At the same time, don't let the devil steal your joy and steal your blessings, right? And it's times like these that you have to be even more vigilant. So keeping him accountable, at the same time validating him and supporting him, Good. And I think sometimes we think it's one or the other. Either give them a kick in the butt, keep moving, pull up your socks, suck it up, or hey man, whatever. Yeah, you right. It's validating and this and that. And so they're not getting that balance. And I think we need that balance for one another.
Definitely. So you need guys to validate what you're going through, but then also to hold you accountable for your actions.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I want to say too. So just looking at some numbers, some statistics, and I read somewhere how most Black men they have more stresses than white men, but they are less likely to go and seek counseling. And why you think that is, there, Lil?
Again, going back to culture, right? Going back to how you're cultured and society and stuff. Like, I know even for myself, I'm a therapist now, but I remember being in grad school and literally when someone said, hey, you ever seen a therapist before? And the first thing that popped out of my mouth, all my education or whatever, was, why I'm not friendless. I'd have to pay someone to be my friend.
Right.
Like,
that's a stigma.
And I remember that being a thought from small. Like, the only time that you go to therapy is if you're in marriage counseling and you do it because it's the both of y'all, and it's like, it's like a practical thing, how to figure out how to work together. That's fine. But you for yourself, what? You need to buy friends?
Right. Right.
Maybe that's the problem. Stop making some friends, And that's horrible. That's horrible, because the truth is your therapist is not your friend, right? I think it's exactly opposite. Like, seeking out therapy or seeking out that neutral third party or that person who doesn't really have any stake in your life is important because you get to actually be yourself. You get to be free. You get to say what you want, do what you want, without having to wear these masks that you wear in so many different aspects of your life to fulfill these roles or all these constraints that are wrong, you know. And the only expectation that the therapist has from you is to be yourself. Just be genuine to yourself, right? And seek out your own joy, seek out your own like enrichment, and not relying on other people or making excuses to justify behaviors. And so it's able to call you out, but also you're able to be straight up. And I think that's what we need. But that's a vulnerable place to be in, and that's scary. So then now it's leading to, again, how we culture about what vulnerability means, what's strong and what isn't strong, what's weak and what isn't weak.
Right.
I tell the guys that I get coming in, you know, from military folk to teachers to students or whatever, if it is you're like, I don't want to be weak, you know, this and that, what is harder than actually talking about your feelings and facing some of those hard things in your life? Nothing. So dealing with that actually makes you in turn ironically strong, right? But we don't think about that the strongest people actually deal with the hardest things, right? And if you're always avoiding things, then you're not strong, you're weak. And so you're ironically the exact same thing that you're afraid of being.
Well said.
You know?
Well said.
And so, we need each other. We need each other. We need to encourage each other.
That's right. Yeah, right. That's great. We need to rely on each other. We need to encourage each other. But I like what you said, you know, dealing with your mental health, that is a sign of strength and courage. And to not deal with your mental health, that's actually a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
Cowering, not dealing with your issue. Now we have a question. Before I get to the next question, we do have something that came in. So Chima says, Lim, if you could answer this, what does holding each other accountable actually look like?
Okay. All right. So let's say, Kina, you and I are friends from a long time, right? We're in high school together, whatnot. We graduate, we move on. And I say, I'm going off to college and I'm doing my work or whatnot. You moved away and you're working and stuff. But let's say your mom dies, all right? And your way of coping with that is starting to get into alcohol, smoking, drugs, or whatever, right? Because you just don't want to deal with that. You can't face with that. Now, I understand how tough that is. So I reach out to you and I'm like, hey, yo, Keenan, what's going on? Man, I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I understand. But then at least come for a bit. You know, come over by where I'm at. We'll chill, we hang out for a little bit, you know. And we're going to talk about it because your mom's is important too, important to me. And you could choose when you want to come, but I'm letting you know, I want you here. You don't have to be alone, right? Nah, man, I'm good. All right, that's fine. I put it out there. You make your decision. But I still call and checking on you when you're going and say, I see you spiraling. Instead of saying, well, you know what, I understand. It'll be tough for everybody. Just do what you want, right? I'll be like, hey, what you doing, right? Like you're spiraling.
Yeah.
I know. And then at that time, I would then go to you, right? I'll come to you and I'll be like, yo, I'm going to spend a few days, a couple of days a week with you. And let's hash through this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all right. Even if you don't want to talk, I'm going to be present there. But you're not going to continue to spiral because I care about you. You're my brother, right? And yeah, it'll be messy because things are messy, right? Deep, strong emotions are messy. But that's why we want to be there for each other in the mess. You know, like the truth is, 10 years from now, you're not going to remember the specific words that I said or the things that I was saying, right? But you remember the fact that I was there and I made myself present. You know, and when you look back in hindsight, you'll be like, you know, the only reason why I got trust, someone was there, you know.
Right.
Powerful, man.
So holding each other accountable is really about being present. It's about taking the time to actually be vulnerable by expressing that you care. but taking the time to check somebody, check them in love, so that they don't continue spiraling. And that's something that as men, particularly as Black men, sometimes we, these are generalities, but we may not feel as comfortable to do that. It's just like, okay, well, he's going to do his life or whatever. But if we really care, and really had a brotherhood, then it means me kind of stepping in and be like, yo, what's going on? Let's sit down, let's talk, and expressing my concern for your well-being.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say that I think some brothers, they just don't know how. It hasn't been modeled for them. Nobody, man, when they went through something, nobody was there for them.
Yeah.
They don't know how to be there for somebody because they don't know what it looks like. So they're like, oh, they're gonna get through it because they figured that that's the way that they went through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preacher, I was gonna say, just in my adult life as a man, I've learned to give permission to my friends to hold me accountable.
Right.
And it ends up going both ways now. So I mean, you and I, have that level of vulnerability and accountability. But that's something that I think is important for fellas. We have to be willing to be held accountable. But a lot of times we don't want to do that because we want to be private, we want to be strong, we want to keep all of our stuff to ourselves. But that's a recipe for failure.
Yeah. All right, Lim. So this kind of piggybacks with all that. So I know you're a therapist. You know, like I said, you need to write books on all the stuff that you and I talk about. But I want to ask this question: how does our family or origin play a role in how we relate to others in life and our adulthood?
Moving into some deep stuff. So there's a whole theory called object relations, right? And it's a psychoanalytic thing from Sigmund Freud or whatever. But it pretty much says that every relationship that we have with things in our life is attached to an internal belief or a thought from an interaction that we've had. So from even before you're born, right? In your mother's belly, you hear music, you hear the voices, you hear arguing, fighting, quarreling, right? Whether there's abuse, again, roughed up, whether the nutrition isn't good, right? And so even though they don't have physical words or like verbal things to attach to it, you're learning, your brain is going and it's like attaching meaning to stuff. So from the time that you come out, sensory motor, so you see young children crawling around, climbing on things, falling, this and that, right? They are touching. And, I have a 2-year-old, he just turned 2. And it's been fascinating, not that I experiment on him, but it's fascinating observing him in his natural element, right? Like how many times he would try something and I'll just sit back and watch him. He hurts himself, he'll pick himself up. And then the next time he does it, he tweaks it a little bit to do something different, right? And that's happening so rapidly, so young. And I think when we start to get verbal, we stop paying attention to the fact that that process is still happening behind the scenes at all times, right? Everything that we're learning, everything that we are around, that we soak up, every interaction that we have, it's like either adding to or molding, bending, twisting, shaping who we are as we get older, right? Now, of course, we have free will and we have autonomy, so it's not like it's like a foregone conclusion that you're stuck. The whole premise is at any point in time, we have a choice and we can make a choice. At the same time, we can't deny that the way that we are brought up or what we're exposed to can impact our choices, right? So it's not either or, it's both and, right? And so we have to pay attention to how we grow up in the environments that we're in. And that's honestly why I got into marriage and family therapy. Because I feel like if the couple is all right, then the family is all right, then the people in it become also societal, people in society, and then they too make families, and it bleeds out. But if the home isn't right, then it's like it just bleeds out. And you can't like play catch up. It's like trying to go backwards to fix it, right? We're fixing all these symptoms rather than the issue itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Did you have
No, go ahead, preacher.
No, I was going to say, with that being said, especially, I can't speak for other cultures, but I just know, for this being Black in America, sometimes it's taught, suck it up, don't cry, don't. Pretty much, you can't express any emotion but anger. That's the only expression that's allowable. From the whole crying, suck that up, yeah. So that's the thing. And so brothers, they hold this stuff in and they make this projection of self, and it's killing us. We're dying because we're holding all that stuff in, trying to project this whatever that society tells us to be, instead of being that true, authentic self. And I think a lot of brothers, going back to what you said, Lim, if we get into these, we have brothers that can hold us accountable, that we could be truly authentic with and be cool with who we are in our own skin. And in any environment we bring that in, it'll just be we'll become healthier. We'll have healthier relationships. Like, I don't have to play this, this guy with the cape on trying to save everybody and everything. And so, but we learn that, we learn that from growing up, from what we have seen in our environment. Don't show emotions but anger. And I know you told me a conversation that we had a while back, Lim. You were saying how every emotion that we go through, that we have experienced, God has experienced as well. And I thought that was so powerful. I mean, from Jesus crying to the Bible even says in the second Psalm that God laughs. Like every emotion that we have, God has had. It has. So we got to be okay with being who we are. So but I could go on and on with that. Okay, Doc, I know you got another question.
Yeah. No, I was just going to ask. Obviously, it's been a difficult, pandemic these last 2 years. What we've been going through. What are some of the major issues that people are coming to see you for now, Lam?
Family, like off the bat, from the beginning, from the very first month, all these kids are home. I don't know what to do with them. Oh, my partner's home. I'm so irritated. Why are they so irritated? Oh, it's so funny. We get so accustomed to being busy,
right.
going. Society is almost like it Lord's just continue to go. Yeah. And in the midst of doing that, we're missing those soft skills of how to deal with people, how to love, how to care, how to be involved, how to stay in the same space, how to work through problems, right? Usually we just fill it with activities, things, lots of distractions. So we were living, I feel like, in a very distracted society. And so that, and I was actually super happy that the pandemic kind of happened for a lot of people. People dealing with things that they never dealt with in years because they never gave themselves space or always had an excuse to justify why not. Right? But now, I have nothing to do. I have to face that. I have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so, for the first time in years, I think almost all of us in the field, we have waiting lists months out, for people who really want to deal with things. Because now it's like right here, all the distractions are gone. And it's helpful that even now, as we start to come out slowly out of it, people still seeking it out. Because I think that time to just stop, sit, and reflect, it really opened the eyes of a lot of people. While it was rocky in the beginning, I've also seen a lot of breakthroughs when it came to families and how close people came. Hurts that had been persistent for years, but no one ever wanted to deal with it and address it, actually coming out and being worked through. And now they have better relationships now than they've had forever, right? No. Another thing I saw was anxiety when it came, especially with kids and how it impacted the kids in school. Kids who never struggled with anxiety and stuff before, the idea of going back into school again, how to interact, how to talk, can I touch, can I hug, I don't know, and then is it going to happen again? Are we going to be taken out again? Yeah. So those are the two biggest things I saw.
Yeah. Listen, what would you say to a man, to the men out there that are watching, who are hesitant about getting mental health support or sitting down and seeing a therapist?
That's a good one. Well, two things. No matter what it is that you've been through and that was so difficult and so hard, you already came through it, which means that you have the strength to deal with it. Because usually the worst part of whatever you're dealing with or what have experience in your life is actually going through that experience. So remembering it and talking about it is a walk in the park in comparison, right? So there's nothing to be afraid of, right? The second thing, when it comes to taking care of yourself, if you want to be strong, then you have to make sure your pillars are strong, right? Your foundation is strong. If mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, relationally, those pillars supporting everything that rests on top of it are strong, you'll be able to deal with anything. That's what we call resilience, right? You can bounce back from anything, you can handle anything in life, it's not a problem. But if there's even a chink in one of those, it starts to add more weight bearing on the others. And then you end up getting a chink in another area. Then it starts to spread bit by bit. And eventually, your pillars are going to start to fall. And it's going to be harder to play catch up. And eventually, now, everything falls. And you're like, where did this come from? It's because you didn't pay attention to that one thing. So what I tell individuals, I tell them, man, manage your pillars, right? Don't make excuses to justify why you're letting your pillars fall, right? Because that is your responsibility to take care of yourself so everything else and everyone else weighing on you can be good as well, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
We got another question. Let me say about Chimo. Are there any outlets for people who can't financially afford therapy? Maybe people aren't getting professional help because they can't afford it. What do you think, Lem?
No, I mean, they have several different things. So they have like these online platforms. Like, I don't want to endorse anyone in particular, so I'm not going to call names because I don't know the legality of that, right? But they have, online platforms for online therapy, and they have like different packages and programs. They have like subsidized programs where different therapists contract with them to give lower fees for people who don't have insurance and those type of things. They have local CSBs, community service boards, or departments of health and stuff that they have resources there that they offer for individuals pro bono. So they're out there, and yeah, you might have to look a little bit, but it's worth it, I'll say in the end, And even if you're not sure, sometimes just look online, look up certain people and call them and ask, hey, I don't have this, I don't have that. Might you be willing to do like a lesser fee? Maybe if I, commit to doing like 12 sessions, I could pay a lower fee and make sure I go to all of that, because therapists are people just like us too, right? And so they want to help. A lot of them get into the field because they want to help. But you have to kind of humble yourself a bit to seek that help. Don't say, well, I ain't going to take no handout from nobody. Nobody ain't going like, I ain't desperate. I don't need that. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm straight. I'm good. Right? Now, that's a trap. That's a trap.
Yeah. Yeah. And Lim, you're a unicorn. A black male in therapy. It's not too many of you. And so I know some brothers, they like, man, I'm not going to no therapist, or if I do, I want to, another black male, and they're hard to find, but I know from mine, and maybe you could speak to this. I don't know, maybe you have a different experience, but for school, when I was going through school, studying mental health counseling, one of the requirements is you have to go to a therapist yourself. So I went to a therapist for the very first time, and the therapist that was assigned to me was a white lady. So I thought going into there, I'm like, this is going to be a waste. Let me just do this for my class. I'm not going to get anything out of this. There's no way I can relate to her. She can relate to me. Like, let's go ahead and go do this hour, whatever. So as I'm sitting there, and the therapist, she's talking to me, all right. And I told her that, yeah, I'm just really here for school. I think I started off the conversation, like kind of just set the tone. She's like, all right, that's fine. And then she said, well, let's at least talk about school since you got to be in. She said, what's your favorite class? What's the class you don't like the most? And then from there, just those two questions, somehow or another, boom, my whole life.
Yeah.
All right, well, the time is up. See you next. I'm like, the time is up. I felt like I was just getting started, and so I say that all to say, at least for me, I realized that just like any doctor, if I'm bleeding, I don't care who you are. If you could fix it, fix this thing, for mental health. Sometimes, like, I only want to go to this person, I only go to that person. But if somebody has the skills, they got the skills. And it was a white lady who we had nothing in common with, at least I thought, but we had a lot in common. And I mean that those sessions were so powerful, it blew my mind. So I would encourage everyone, go see a therapist. We all need Jesus and a therapist, and then get into a small group. So Lim, what do you think about anything that I said? That's not even a question. What do you think?
No, it's true. I mean, it kind of is a testament to like that same cup thing, right? All of us have a lot that we're carrying because we live in life, and life isn't always easy, right? Like we have some good times, but a lot of us go through some hard times, And who we talk to about that? Nobody. We just deal with it, and we pride ourselves on that, which is good. Nothing's wrong with that. Cool, that's great. But if we just create that atmosphere and that space, you'll realize you have a lot more inside of you than you think. The answer to things shouldn't be, I don't know, right? Like, if you don't know, who's gonna know? Like, you're the expert on yourself, right? If it is that you have people in your life who you want to feel close to or whatnot, how are they gonna know you if you don't know yourself and communicate that to them? Right? So you have to really spend time getting connected with you, and it's okay. And if you have things that you need to let out, right? And let out healthily, right? Like walking out slapping people in the face. Right. But if you need to let it out, then do what you have to do. Right. I use the example. I guess I know this. I use the example of you get your dream car, right? So you have your Tesla. Let's say you want to get a Tesla. It's all brand spanking new and shiny on the outside. You like it, right? So that's you. You are your Tesla. You take care outside. You get groomed. You do up your hair nice. Your shoes. You're always smelling nice and perfumed up. It's great, right? But you never give yourself an oil change. What's going to happen to that car? It doesn't matter how sexy it is on the outside, right? It's going to be a very expensive paperweight at some point, right? Because, you drive it and you're using it and you're good and you're going through life and you're whatever and you're looking nice on the outside. Everyone's like, oh, look how fancy it is. Look how sharp he is. Oh, I want to be like him. Or I look up to you, this and that. And you don't take care of the engine, of what's running on the inside, the real stuff that matters.
Yeah.
Then you're just going to be a waste of time.
There it is.
So, there's that.
Yeah, that's good. Doc, you got anything before we go ahead and close out?
Yeah, I think our therapist said it all right there, Lem. I want to say thank you for just taking that time to share. I know a bunch of the men that are watching are going to watch, and even wives or others that are watching are going to be benefited by that. And just a lot of my takeaways are we got to rely on each other. We got to hold each other accountable. We got to be willing to check each other, take time to validate each other, but then not be afraid of sitting down and getting some help, somebody to help process you so you can have a better understanding of you and be a better you. Take the time to take care of the inside. So those are some powerful takeaways, and I appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Lim. Everything that Doc Kinlock said, yes, indeed. Please, brothers, don't be afraid, to go get help, get professional help, get a therapist, please, try it out. What's the worst that can happen? And if it's not a good fit, there are other therapists, keep going till you find the right fit. Go ahead and try. Go ahead and try it. Your wife will thank you. Your kids will thank you. Yeah, others you'll thank yourself. Go try it. Yep. And I just want to.
Are y'all accepting clients, Pastor?
Yeah, we always taking on clients. Yeah. At our site though, it's only right now they're only doing Medicaid and TRICARE. So if you're military or if you are have any Medicaid plan, yeah, definitely we could get you then. We have lots of therapists. We have lots of Black therapists, right? But we also have non-Black therapists. So, but we have everybody, right?
Is there a site for someone to be able to connect who wants to follow up? Is there a web address?
Yes. Is there a way that y'all can share that?
Yeah, we can. We can. We can get it from you.
If you tell me, I could put it on the website. I could put it on put it up there right now.
All right. It actually probably is just better to get like the phone number 757-467-8184.
467-8184.
And just call, say, hey, what you looking for? You're looking for therapy, what insurance you have, or self-pay, because you could do that as well. And then they'll take information and pass it on, and they get it staffed and get someone to.
And even though that's a Virginia area code, now a lot of this is telehealth. It's virtual now, right? You guys
So that's like that's just the local number for the call center, but we have sites all over Virginia. So they'll get you to wherever you're at. Just say which location, and they'll get you to whatever location.
Okay. And that's the company that you and I are with, Dylan?
Yep.
So that's the National Counseling Group. Now I must say, Lim can't say this, but I'll say it. When you call, ask, I want to see Lim Williams.
Yeah, I have to be careful what I say.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know you can't say that, but I can say ask for Lim Williams. But he's a great therapist. I send people to him all the time. I send him his way, his sister's way, his wife's way. I send them to him, but they're great therapists. So just don't be afraid to pick up that phone. Also, too, for brothers, if you're in Virginia Beach, or Chesapeake, we're starting a small group for our brothers. So brothers, we can do this barbershop type style. Holding people accountable. So if you're a brother, you listening, please just reach out to me. You could just put something in the chat and we'll see it, or just give me a call. I'll put my number on here, 231-5411. Put my number right up there. So just give me a call. That's the number. That's my number right there. So just give me a call. This is the call center number right there as well. So just give me a call if you want to be part of our small group. Yep. Well, Doc, that's all I got. That's all I got, man. I know Lim probably got a client waiting for him right now. Is there anything you want to? That's correct. Okay, all right. We're gonna close it out with prayer. But Doc, is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to say, Doc?
No. I'll close out a prayer, preacher. If that's
all right. Thank you all. Make sure soon we'll be back. Next week we should be back at our regular time. But go ahead, Doc. You want to close out with prayer?
Yeah, let's pray. Father in heaven, we just want to thank you, dear God, that you said iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And we want to thank you for the reminders, and some of which is new information to us, Lord, that we need each other. And as men, we have to rely on one another and certainly rely on you. And it's okay to get the support and get the help that strong men face difficult things and are able to continue in strength. Lord, help us to manage our pillars. Help us to take care of the inside. So that we can be the best possible men that you have called us to be. Thank you for Lem. I thank you for every man, every woman, everyone that is out there watching. We pray that they have been blessed and that they have been empowered by this conversation that we've had today. We thank you for hearing our prayer in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Lem.
Yeah, man. No problem. No problem.
All right.
All right. God bless everyone. God bless. See you next time.
All right, everybody. Take care now. We'll see you next time.
All right. God bless.
Bye.